Good afternoon. It's time for Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Patterson. Today we'll join Business Beat reporter Michelle Coates for a look into the business of sand and surf as we take a look at local surf industry right here in Volusia County. Then we'll find out how a local reptile discovery center is helping to save lives all over the country with health reporter Stephanie Strong. And finally, we'll join Community Information Director Dave Byron in the studio for a chat with Volusia County's Director of Economic Development, Phil Ehlinger. Those segments, news, and more coming up on Volusia Magazine. Stay tuned. The Sheriff's Office recently collected unwanted, unused, and expired prescriptions from residents who dropped off the drugs at 5 drop-off points throughout the county. This local effort was part of the National Prescription Drug Take Back Day coordinated across the country by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA.
The Volusia County Sheriff's Department started a program in January 2011, which at any time you can drop off your medication at any of our district offices, or you can also call a deputy to your house and we'll be glad to pick up prescription medication, unwanted or expired prescription medication for destruction.
Volusia County residents who want to arrange for the Sheriff's Office to pick up their unwanted medicine at their home can call 386-822-5070.
But I want to remind again, you don't have to wait for a DEA Take-Back Day. You can contact us at any time and we'll be happy to take your prescription medications for destruction.
This year, the Sheriff's Department collected 95 pounds of unwanted prescription drugs. More than 377,000 pounds of unwanted pills were collected for safe and proper disposal during the National Take Back event in October of 2010. Have you noticed a bit of love in the air in Volusia County? Well, it's the love bugs, and they're back for their first flight season of the year.
We only see them a couple of weeks a year, in the spring and the fall. The rest of the time, they're down in the soil. The larvae, the egg, are developing. Once they hatch out in the spring and the fall, their sole purpose is to mate, reproduce, and then they die in a very, very short amount of time.
The spring flight occurs during late April and May. A second flight occurs during late August and September. Flights extend over periods of 4 or 5 weeks. Usually love bug flights are restricted to daylight hours, and at night they rest in low-growing vegetation. Adult love bugs are harmless and do not sting or bite, but they are a considerable nuisance to motorists. They congregate in large numbers along the highways, and the insects spatter on the windshields and grills of moving trucks and automobiles. Windshields become covered in the fatty remains, which can obscure a driver's vision. According to Dave Griffiths of the Volusia County Extension Office, there are several things that can be done to lessen the problem facing motorists.
One thing you want to do to protect your vehicle is you want to make sure it's always waxed, have a good coat of wax on the hood, on the bumper, to make sure that that stuff, material, the goop from the bugs doesn't stick. It's easier to wash off. Another thing you can do for the windshields, because the windshields are very, very important. When all the bug goop gets on the windshield, it distorts our vision. It makes it difficult for us to see. So you can use products that you can spray on your windshield that will allow water to streak off and it will allow the bugs to come off easier. So these are two great things that you can use. Some people also use such things as PAM, baby oil, cooking oil, and they will put a nice sheen on the front. But you want to make sure that you be careful with that and that it doesn't harm the finish of your paint. So if you're in doubt, always just use some type of a good quality car wax.
The bugs also clog radiator fans, which can cause cars to overheat. And if that's not enough, the fatty tissue of the love bugs will cause pitting of the car's finish if it's not removed within a few days. A number of insecticides have been evaluated for effectiveness in controlling the love bug population. Most of them kill love bugs but are impractical because of the high populations of the insects that occur over vast areas of the state. Thousands of firefighters from all over Florida are in Volusia County, but they're not here to work. They're here to play. More than 4,200 firefighters and paramedics who work for fire departments are competing in the 39th Annual Firefighter Games. The 15-day event is taking place throughout Volusia County and includes Olympic-style sporting competitions. Volusia County Fire Services Operations Chief Jeff Smith said the firefighter games are a great opportunity for camaraderie among firefighters.
The events actually started 45 years ago with firefighters from different departments coming together and wanting to establish a competition that they could just experience the camaraderie and the competition, basically, the sports that they grew up and that they still practice. So this is an outlet for us to be competitive and get together and compete and win trophies and hardware and bragging rights, but also to share that time with the other athletes that are firefighters. You know, the spirit of competition is a great driving force to keep us physically fit and make us get out there and do things we wouldn't normally do.
The firefighter games run through May 3rd.
For my first year, it's different. It's a new experience for me. I actually like it. I've never gotten a chance to play in any kind of Olympics. And with this kind of competition from all over the state, I've only played in my little pocket of Florida. So I'm very excited to play in it, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, we're all out here to have a good time and to compete. And there is definitely some camaraderie that you make playing these games, and the rivalry on the court is definitely top notch.
I'm Carl Persis with the Volusia County Council, asking you to help us make our roads safer for motorcyclists. You can save a life by looking twice and following these safety tips. Double check traffic at intersections before you pull out. Check your blind spots before changing lanes. Stay focused on your driving. Leave at least a 4-second distance between your vehicle and a motorcycle in front of you. Remember that failing to yield right-of-way can result in the death of a motorcyclist.
Now that summer's around the corner, let's catch some waves with Business Beat reporter Michelle Coates for a look at local surf industry leaders.
The average Florida surfer is middle-aged, educated, employed, and experienced. Today we're talking about surfing in Volusia County on the Business Beat. I'm Michelle Coates.
The thing that's good is you only get about 25% of the compression in the back of the board that you would with a poly.
Surfing has evolved into a worldwide multi-billion-dollar industry. A recent study by Surf First revealed that the average surfer is in his mid-30s, college educated, employed full-time, earning $50,000 to $75,000 annually, and has about 16 years of surfing experience. We spoke to longtime surfer and local surfboard manufacturer Randy Richenberg about our local surf industry.
Now with surfing being a generational sport, everybody from junior to granddad surfing and grandmom surfing, that now you get more people that come here for the weekend, they eat at the restaurants, they actually have an impact on real estate. People will buy homes here because their whole family surfs and they've enjoyed the area, they like the area, it's got consistent surf, and they may buy a second home or they may move here permanently.
Regardless of the surfer demographic, everyone agrees that the quality of the waves is of extreme importance to each surfer. Many wave riders will travel to catch a wave or two.
New Smyrna Inlet has an international reputation of being one of the most consistent waves on the east coast of the United States. And that is really a draw because when the rest of the state of Florida is too small to surf, usually there's a rideable wave on the south side of Ponce de Leon Inlet. And that in turn brings large numbers of people here on holidays and weekends because they know they can come to New Smyrna and go surfing. So, and in turn, that has a substantial economic impact in Southeast Volusia.
Locally, wave riders come in from across Central Florida to spend the day or weekend along our beaches. Many contribute to the local economy with food, fuel, and surf accessory purchases.
Approximately 10 surf shops in East Volusia. There's 3, 4 here in New Smyrna. I would say the average approximate numbers on what they gross a year retail would probably be about $1 million to $1.5 million, some higher, some a little lower. But when you total that up between 3 to 4 surf shops in New Smyrna and probably 10 surf shops in East Volusia, it ends up being a substantial contribution to the economy.
Surf shops provide the core products wave riders need to pursue their passion: boards, leashes, wax, wetsuits, sunscreen, and the like. They're often gathering places for surfers to share information. And New Smyrna Beach boasts several shops. The area also hosts surf contests that draw crowds from across the country.
There's been numerous amateur competitions in the New Smyrna side of the inlet in the past couple weekends. They both are focused on the Southeast U.S. amateur competition, and there are thousands of people that come here for those competitions. They draw all the way from the mid-Atlantic states around the Gulf states, and on a weekend the competitions may last as much as 4 days. So you have people coming here and staying for 4 days and visiting our restaurants and renting hotel rooms and condos, and it really gives a good economic injection in this area.
Surfing has an impact in our local market, drawing surfers from across the Southeast United States.
I hope you've enjoyed this look at the surf industry in Volusia County. I'm Michelle Coates with the Business Beat.
It's been estimated that between 7,000 to 8,000 people per year receive venomous bites in the United States, and about just 5 of those people die. But the number of deaths would be much higher if people did not seek medical care as soon as they can. There are only about 6 laboratories in the United States responsible for producing snake venom, and DeLand is home to one of those facilities. MedToxin, located at the Reptile Discovery Center in DeLand. If you're bitten by a venomous snake, you'll need anti-venom to save your life. Stephanie Strong takes a closer look at how snake venom is produced in this segment of Community Health Matters.
They can be dangerous to outdoor workers, including farmers, landscapers, construction workers, even children at play near wooded areas. We're talking about snakes. There are a number of venomous snakes in Florida, including rattlesnakes, copperheads, cottonmouths or water moccasins, and coral snakes. Some of them call the Reptile Discovery Center in DeLand home, and they are here for a medical purpose. MedToxin Venom Laboratories opened in 1994, collecting venom from a wide variety of venomous snakes to ship around the world for use in pharmaceutical and medical research.
What we do on a large scale is commercially produce snake venom. So the snakes are handled to harvest the venom that they produce. They use those venoms to create an antibody in a host animal, typically a sheep or a horse, to create antivenom. And we are one of about 6 laboratories here in the United States that produce venom.
It's been estimated that 7,000 to 8,000 people per year receive venomous bites in the United States, and about 5 of those people die. The number of deaths could be much higher if people did not seek medical care.
So it's somewhat of a grand circle. The venoms that we harvest here are used to produce this antibody in an animal, and then that serum is given to a snakebite victim, and that same antibody that was created with venom will now neutralize that snake venom in the victim of a snakebite. Certainly we play a role in the development of a drug that's created to save lives, and snake venoms are used in a host of other medical research applications. So again, in an abstract manner, we play some small role in that picture, and we're very happy to be doing that.
It is important for employers to train their workers who work outside about their risk of exposure to venomous snakes, how they can prevent and protect themselves from snake bites, and what they should do if they are bitten. Signs or symptoms associated with a snake bite may vary depending on the type of snake, but may include a pair of puncture marks at the wound, redness and swelling around the bite, severe pain at the site of the wound, nausea and vomiting, labored breathing, disturbed vision, increased salivation and sweating, and numbness or tingling around your face and or limbs. The Reptile Discovery Center is a unique facility in which visitors are exposed to a wide variety of reptile and amphibian species in a controlled environment, allowing close viewing of turtles, tortoises, lizards, alligators, and most prominently displayed, many of the world's most dangerous snakes. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Stephanie Strong.
For more information, go to reptilediscoverycenter.com. If you have any questions about this or any other health-related issues, you can log on to volusiahealth.com. And now let's join our very own Community Information Director, Dave Byron, in the studio for an in-depth discussion with studio guest, Economic Development Director, Phil Ehlinger.
Well, thank you, Amber, and hello, everyone. Well, these continue to be difficult economic times in Volusia County, but there are some signs things are improving, but somewhat slowly. The county's Economic Development Division keeps very close tabs on several key indicators as part of its monitoring of the local economy. We'll talk about some of those economic signs today with our studio guest, Phil Ehlinger. He's the county's Economic Development Director. Phil, nice to have you back.
Hi, Dave. It's nice to be here.
Have you back every quarter?
Something like that. Every 3 months even.
Yeah, it's nice to have you back. Phil, let's look, as we always do on these interviews, let's look at the broad picture first. Let's look at the national picture.
Nationally, I think that things are slowly recovering. I think people are tending to be a little too optimistic about the pace of the recovery. I don't think it's going to be as fast as we'd like it to be.
Right.
However, in Volusia County, I think that we've picked up a little bit more steam than the rest of the state has, and certainly nationally.
Well, I know the stock market seems to be up, Phil. I mean, you know, it seems to be steadily going this way, which seems to be a good thing.
Well, the price of oil today is lower than it was a year ago in spite of the recent scare. Europe seems to be settling down a bit, although, you know, there's some funny things out there. I have often felt that once they got through all the Republican primaries, which you know, nobody runs on how great things are, that tend to create a lot of uncertainty in the market. Now I think things are settling down to good old political American kind of a year, and people can relax and say, now we're down to the system. I understand.
Well, boiling things down, let's talk a little bit about Volusia County. You know, there are some signs that things are beginning to slowly go in the right direction. What are you seeing out there?
We are seeing that. Our unemployment rate has dropped a little under 16% in the last year.
That's good.
That's significantly better, where the state of Florida was a smidge under 9, and nationally was less than that. So so our jobs are coming back. Our population is stable. We're putting people to work.
Are we under 10 yet, Phil, in the unemployment rate?
Yes, we're 9.1 as of the last number. New numbers will be out in a few days, and we'll have a little bit better idea. But people are gradually going back to work. We're seeing very positive signs by corporations in terms of their commitment to spending money. And that was always one of the concerns that we had, in that while business seemed to be getting better, companies were not spending money on new equipment. They were not spending money on new plants. And yet just recently, as we know, Teledyne committed to a major expansion in Volusia County. We're looking at a $3.5 to $4 million building, $6 million payroll, a little big impact. ARC Technologies is underway. They're hiring. They're opening a brand new plant, and their owner is off to China to try to get some of the products that automobile products back made in the United States.
Wow!
Which is you know, those are good signs. It's slow, and it's a few jobs at a time, and we are smaller than a lot of other places, so it's going to take a time. It's going to take a bit.
One of the things that your division does, Phil, is you take a look every quarter at the housing starts, the new construction numbers in terms of residential and commercial. What are the numbers there telling you, Phil?
Last quarter, if we were, as some have thought, and including myself, speculated we were bouncing along the bottom, well, we took a good bounce. And building permits were residential for new construction. We're significantly up by about 30% in the first quarter over the fourth quarter of last year. And that is excellent. We haven't seen those kinds of numbers since early in 2011. And let's just hope we can sustain it. Another interesting thing is that the price of new homes has increased. The value of those permits has gone up about $8,000 a house.
Wow, interesting.
So that's also interesting. And from what the property appraisers tells us, values sales are starting to perk up, so we'll see.
One of the things I thought was noteworthy, you know, in this quarter, and this is not a surprise to us per se, but a lot of work is being done, a lot of permits are being taken out for what you might call substantial rehabilitations or renovation work. It's hard to get a complete handle on that, but a lot of builders are really doing a lot of major rehab work.
That's correct. There was a time when people, you know, when the bubble was here,
right,
just went and bought a new home.
Right.
Now they're renovating what they have. And that's sort of, you can't really track it unless you looked at every single permit in the county, but you can see that the construction workers are working. They're not maybe building the new homes, but they're putting additions and walls and that kind of stuff.
One of the things we've talked about, Phil, and it's an interesting subject, is looking at it from a national basis and kind of focusing it on what we were just talking about, is this mobility factor. You know, it doesn't seem to be these days that people are selling their homes and then moving to another home, or selling their home and moving to another state. And I think that's indicative of what we're talking about, people putting rehab money into the existing place, which is going to have an impact on the state of Florida, which is really dependent on mobility, people moving in to the state.
Right, well, that's going to happen. We are going to see the influx continue and build again.
Right.
We are still one of the more desirable places to go. Although the demographics and the financial reasons have changed a bit. It used to be that Florida was a cheaper place to live.
Right.
We're not a cheaper place to live anymore. Our costs are about the same as most other states. Nationally, we rank somewhere in the middle.
Right.
So we're not a cheap place to live, but that sunshine is free, and that is a big attraction.
Let's talk about the commercial permits. Anything happening on the commercial side, Phil?
There's a few projects popping in the last quarter. Orange City had a couple of big projects get underway, which were commercial, which is good. And I think we're going to see that, but it'll go along, but we're not going to see any major changes in commercial.
Right.
Unless we include industrial now, if we're real lucky and get a couple more plants being built, and that will certainly help.
What about the average annual wages in Volusia County? Are people still keeping pace with the average annual wage?
Well, yes, they are. Our average, it hasn't gone up a whole lot over the last couple of years because of the recession, but it has gone up a little bit every year, and we're not seeing that there's a real issue. We are going to see probably wages go up more for certain jobs. As companies do move here, there are going to be some shortages of certain people.
Right.
And unless that in-migration builds back up again, it could be a totally different story in a couple of years.
You know, every quarter, Phil, you present this economic indicator update to a community forum. And one of the things that it strikes me about the presentation, and you do it about every quarter, and that is you show a chart that shows the unemployment rate in comparison with the person's education level. And boy, if that doesn't tell a story, because the higher the person's education, the better chance they have of staying employed and having a good job. I mean, that's not rocket science, but the chart really shows that. It
absolutely is a link, not only to unemployment, but in terms of wages. Someone with a high school education will maybe have, at the present time, I think there's about 8% unemployment with high school graduates. There's a 13% unemployment for people who never finished high school.
Right.
And let's not forget, you have 38% of all of the unemployed people are under the age of 24.
Wow.
Which is also very indicative.
Right there at the airport as well is the University of Central Florida Daytona Beach International Airport Business Incubator Program, which really seems to be a great success. Every time you and I talk about it, you've got one or more companies to talk about. What's the latest at the incubator? I mean, they're signing people left and right, it seems as though.
Well, sort of left and right, but it started just about August, the beginning of August. Right. Very end of July is when they opened. They opened with 3 client companies. They now have 9.
Right.
They started out with 4 employees working there. Of these companies, there's now 20 employees. And we have 1 company that's already graduated.
That's what I heard. I got a graduate already.
We have a graduate already. And we have 2 companies that are going to be part of the incubation program, but not actually have offices there.
Wow.
So it has been the most successful startup of the of an incubator for UCF in their program.
For those folks, Phil, that are not familiar with this incubator concept, give us just a quick thumbnail overview of what that is. I guess the idea of it is to grow your jobs locally.
Grow our jobs locally. If you have an idea, we're looking at some of the brighter people that we have here who have great ideas. They need to get that help in order to get that idea off the ground. They can move into the incubator, they can get an office. They have to work on a business plan. They get coached in terms of how to do the business plan. They get coached on how to market their product and coached on how to go raise the money in order to make it work. And it's a very unique incubation program where they're kept warm and cuddly and gradually launched into the world. And the percentages of those companies staying in the community are exceptionally high. And the whole idea is as they grow, they're going to hire local people in order to work, and they're going to want to stay.
Right. Slow and steady Eddie, huh?
Slow and steady, but it's a long-range program, and I think it will do very well.
Well, I know that your division has a wealth of economic information available. All the statistics that you generate each quarter are available for people that want to get those numbers or want to get more information. They want to bring a big company here. How do they get more information, Phil?
Well, go on our website, Florida Business, all one word, floridabusiness.org. And actually, we've just put up some new reports that are going to be updated. They're only going to be online because that allows us to keep them more current rather than have to go reprint the whole book or something like that. And one of those contains a lot of data just about Volusia County, the kind of stuff that a company moving here or a business thinking about how do I expand my marketing here needs to know.
Well, Phil, that sounds awesome. Hey, I can't let you go without making a note of the fact that I guess this is going to be our last interview. I'm not going anywhere, but I guess you are. You're leaving county government service and going on to make another $4 or $5 million.
Like I did in the county. Well, it may not be our last interview, but it will be with me as a county employee. And I came from the private sector, had a long career before, and I got drawn into government. I like economic development, I love what I do, but there comes a time to move on, and I want to go back to the private sector.
Well, Phil, I want to thank you very much for the great job that you have done with the county government. We've had a good time doing these interviews, and I know our paths will cross, so good luck, and thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, I appreciate it.
Our guest today, Phil Ehlinger, Director of Volusia County Economic Development. And with that, Amber, we'll go back to you.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about our program, just give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org. You can also watch the show online. Just go to volusia.org and click on the Volusia Magazine icon. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today, Volusia County Government's public information radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Patterson. Have a great evening.